But clearly money's going to be an issue. It always has been with Fergie. And we've talked about various things. This is the problem with Epstein. She had to borrow money from him, the £15,000 to pay somebody off.
It begins not with a scandal, but with a whisper in a wood-panelled room. A senior palace aide, face pale, places a simple financial summary on a desk. The numbers on the page tell a story of a life spinning out of control, a trajectory of spending so audacious it defied all royal protocol and common sense. This was the moment the House of Windsor realized one of its own had built a mountain of debts so high it threatened to cast a shadow over the entire monarchy. We're talking about a sum that would make even the most extravagant socialite blanch, £5 million. This is the exposed truth of Sarah Ferguson's legendary spending. A financial freefall that didn't just embarrass the family, it triggered a cold, strategic panic that redefined her relationship with the crown forever. Let's break down that staggering figure, because numbers alone don't capture the sheer scale of the splurge. £5 million in the 1990s is equivalent to over 10 million today. Imagine a procession of luxury, not just a few hundred designer dresses, but entire ateliers dedicated to one woman's wardrobe. It was private jets ferrying friends to sun-drenched villas, a constant stream of lavish gifts to maintain a circle of loyalty, and the relentless costs of upholding the public image of the fun, generous Duchess of York while her private world was crumbling. This wasn't casual overspending. This was a deliberate, almost frantic, attempt to fill a void left by a failed marriage, public humiliation, and a profound loss of status. Every purchase was a temporary solace, a brick in a fragile fortress against reality. And the fortress was about to be stormed by creditors. The palace's internal alarm bells likely didn't ring all at once. It would have been a drip feed of dread. A concerned accountant's note here, a raised eyebrow from a royal jeweler there, followed by the gut-churning moment when Fergie's financial representatives finally laid the full, horrifying picture before the Queen's most trusted men. The panic wasn't melodramatic, it was bureaucratic and profound. You must understand the core calculus of the monarchy. Its survival hinges on public goodwill, which is built on a perceived pillars of duty, stability, and moral propriety. A senior royal, the ex-wife of the Queen's own son, being pursued by debt collectors was not a personal failing. It was a constitutional crisis in the making. It presented the worst possible imagery, a woman who had eaten at the Queen's table, seemingly trading on her access and title for credit. The fear was of headlines screaming bankrupt Duchess and palace profligate, eroding the sacred mystique of the crown into tawdry tabloid fodder. The response, when it came, was the coldest, clearest signal the institution could send. Queen Elizabeth II, a monarch who famously recycles wrapping paper and turns off lights, represents the antithesis of financial recklessness. Her entire reign is a study in frugal, dutiful permanence. Her intervention was therefore seismic. The royal purse strings were pulled taut and severed. Sarah was formally and publicly cut off from the civil list, the state-funded allowance for working royals. But the most symbolic blow was the loss of her home. She was asked to leave Royal Lodge, the Grace and Favour mansion in Windsor Great Park. This was more than an eviction, it was a ceremonial unmooring. The palace was drawing a literal and financial line: you are family, but you are no longer of the institution. The lifeline of state support was gone. She was now adrift, responsible for the massive shipwreck of debt she had created. This clash was a perfect storm of personality versus protocol. Sarah Ferguson exploded into the royal scene in the 1980s like a burst of confetti, vibrant, loud, and endearingly unstoppable. She was the redhead who breathed fresh air into the palace, all cheeky jokes and public hugs. But the monarchy is a centuries-old machine that grinds down individuality for the sake of the whole. It operates on invisible, unwritten rules, discretion above all, modesty in personal affairs, and an understanding that privilege is a loan, not a gift, repaid through impeccable conduct. Fergie's core sin, in the eyes of the grey-suited courtiers, was treating her royal connection as personal equity to be spent. She commercialized her position the moment she needed cash, giving tell-all interviews and signing lucrative deals. Her very public spending spree was the ultimate violation of that unspoken contract. She wasn't just bad with money, she was exposing the vulnerability of the brand. So, how does a former royal duchess solve a £5 million crisis? Fergie's survival strategy became a masterclass in personal rebranding, but one that constantly rubbed salt in the palace's wounds. She transformed her infamy into an industry. She became a weight loss ambassador for a US company. authored a series of children's books about a helicopter flying heroine, and even became a television personality in America, interviewing celebrities and leaning into her comeback queen narrative. Every venture was a step towards solvency, but for the palace communications team, each was a fresh nightmare. Every media appearance risked a stray, embarrassing comment about the royal family. Every product endorsement with her Duchess of York title blurred the lines between personal enterprise and royal endorsement. The debt was being serviced, but the reputational bleeding was continuous. She was, in essence, monetizing the very scandal they were desperate to bury. And this is the crucial point. The panic from that era never fully dissipated. It simply evolved. Today, under King Charles III, the monarchy is aggressively pursuing a slimmed-down model. It's a project of ruthless efficiency and fiscal transparency, aiming to show a modern institution that offers value for money. In this context, the ghost of Fergie's debts is the ultimate cautionary tale. It's the blueprint for what the new monarchy cannot be. Courtiers now look at non-working royals or fringe family members with a wary eye, haunted by the question of financial dependencies. The modern fear is less about shopping bills and more about the vulnerabilities debt creates. Could financial entanglements make a royal susceptible to influence from foreign billionaires or dubious business partners? In an age of global media and hyper-scrutiny, could a relative's financial misadventure provide leverage for a hostile state or a blackmailer? The spectre isn't just of embarrassment, but of national security. This story takes another intriguing turn when you consider recent years. Fergie has, remarkably, been welcomed back into the royal fold in a quieter family capacity, often staying at Royal Lodge with Prince Andrew, the very home she was once asked to leave. She appears at major family events like the memorial service for Prince Philip. But this rehabilitation is carefully managed. Notice she is not given a formal, funded role. Her business ventures, like her historical romance novel deals and podcast appearances, continue, but they are now framed as her own entrepreneurial pursuits, subtly distanced from the working royal brand. The palace's unspoken strategy appears to be one of containment. Keep her close enough to prevent a rogue narrative, but far enough away to avoid any liability. It's a delicate, permanent dance around the crater left by that £5 million explosion. So what are we left with? The ledgers may have been balanced, but the account was never truly closed. Sarah Ferguson's story is a permanent fracture line in the glossy marble of the monarchy. It proves that the palace's greatest fears aren't always about love affairs or political opinions, but about something far more mundane and dangerously human, a simple inability to manage money. It reveals the institution at its most ruthless, willing to exile a mother of princesses to protect its own financial and reputational sanctity. And it leaves us with a haunting, unresolved question. In our world of influencer culture and viral fame, where personal brands are kingdoms unto themselves, did Fergie simply arrive 3 decades too early? Was she a woman crushed by an archaic system, or was she the first royal to truly understand that in a modern age, a title's greatest value might just be its price tag? Where do you stand in this royal drama? Was Fergie unfairly vilified for seeking a life beyond rigid palace walls, or did her actions justify the firm's severe financial excommunication? The debate is part of what keeps this story so compelling decades later. Let us know your verdict in the comments below. And if you found this deep dive into the royal balance sheets revealing, make sure you're subscribed to Royal Family Daily. We're here to uncover the real stories behind the crowns, the conflicts behind the curtains, and the truths that shape the world's most famous family. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a revelation. Thanks for watching.